Oh, yeah, and he put on a suit. He's a good guy.
My name's Alan Alcoholic. Sobriety date is July 25th, 2004. So I don't know, I'm supposed to follow Rachel. So quite the story. Thanks, Rach. Appreciate that. Thank you, Osprey, for inviting me, and all you guys for supporting me. I'll just give you a little bit of heads up here. My wife, Lorraine, she's been in the program. When I came in, she'd been in the program 13 years before me. So, she'd been dealing with this drunk in the house while she was stone cold sober. And thank God she had a hell of a program that got her through and got me through too. Because, her backstory, she had a bunch of friends, she had a good sponsor that kept her with me. Lorraine wanted to divorce me many times, but her sponsor was hardcore. And she said, no, you can't do that yet. In God's time, whatever. So as it worked out, I got sober. When I did get sober, I knew that for me to come to AA and to even become sober, it would be something monumental would have to happen for me to even think about going sober. Because that book talks about taking it to the bitter end or finding a spiritual path. And when you're out there drinking, who knows about spiritual paths? I mean, the only path I knew was like staggering down, and I'll get to that one later on when I kind of worm my way through, but no crosstalk, okay? So I was born and raised in London, and back then, I don't know what it's like now, but when you get to 15, it doesn't matter what grade you're in. If once you're 15, they kick you out. Whether you've made the grades or not, you just gone. So, as a 15-year-old kid, I'd become an electrician's apprentice. And I was working on a building site, pulling cable at 15, and the money sucked. But I was, trying to get through. And that particular career lasted for about 3 years because there was a lot of math involved in the college side of it, and I wasn't very good at math, so they let me go on that strength. But at 15, you can go in a pub and have a drink. So me and my buddies, we went in this pub locally in our town, and funny enough, most of our class of that particular year was in the pub. We was all drinking in there, and it was like a big playground for us at the time. But we was drinking pints of beer and getting healthy buzzes going. And I was in that pub that was my second home for almost 20 years. And that was a place that I would go after work. I would go Sunday mornings, when I get up, and it was a second place to go. And it was one of those places where there was a bunch of characters and you couldn't odds but become what you was around. And there was a lot of characters that was like skirting the law, breaking the law, flirting with it, just whatever. And it was one of those deals where you just got caught up in it. So I was about 18 years of age. I got caught up with I say caught up. We was running around with my buddies. There was about, I don't know, it's probably about 20 of us. We'd go around in a gang type kind of thing, and we always ended up fighting other guys from another town. And that was what we did in London. It's very tribal, you know. It was, you're in a neighbourhood, you got to get out and stuff. So that was the way it worked. But I was about 18, I think, and I ended up hitting this cop. You know, the police out and take it seriously when you smack them. So I ended up getting some time, and they sent me on a farm for kids. And you know, again, you kind of meet people, and I made friends with people from there. And I used to go drinking with them down like parts of London. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and it's almost, I was definitely a juvenile delinquent plus, because I didn't care. I was, that book talks about being maladjusted. That was me from the get go. I was maladjusted. I didn't realize it at the time, and I didn't drink alcoholically then, but I did drink. I was a heavy drinker, and I never once correlated the the consequences that I was suffering with the drinking. I just thought it was, we used to look at each other the next morning in the pub or at work and say, "What happened last night? That was some shit, wasn't it?" And then we wouldn't even correlate that to drinking. We just go on. And but as time went on, I would take a drink in the mornings, and that was, it's pretty reckless. And that's when things started to take off a little bit. But I figured that I was about 26, I think. We got married. I met Lorraine, and we got married, and we had a boy and a girl. And well, actually, I've skipped a little bit there. Probably when I was about 21, I think 22, we was downtown London in this bar. We was having a bit of a, some banter going on, and again, we got into some trouble there. I started fighting the local people there, and the cops came, and I smacked another cop, and they sent me away again, and so by that time I was like just at my wit's end as far as getting in trouble. I tried to stay out of trouble, but the funny thing, when I came out of prison that time, I hear in the meetings, "Oh, I went to rehab when I came out of there and stuff," But I didn't do rehab, and I didn't think about quitting drinking. I came straight out of there, and I think my wife picked me up, and I came straight out of there and went straight in the pub, and that's where I stayed again. No, there was no thought process of quitting ever, and it was like Jesus. And but when I look back, I mean, that would have been a good thing to have done. So I met Lorraine, and we ended up having 2 kids, boy and a girl, and I wanted to immigrate to Canada. My brother was living over there at the time. So in the meantime, her sister, who lived in Oklahoma City at that time, came over to visit, and she said, "Oh my God, you're not going to Canada, you're coming over to the States." So anyway, she did all the paperwork, blah, 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 and we immigrated over here in 81. And we got off the plane, and she picked us up in a Cadillac. I was sitting in the back seat with the kids, Lorraine's in the front, talking to her sister, and we're going down this blacktop, and all of a sudden I see all this tumbleweed going across. And I'm thinking, and bear in mind, I just come out of London, a heartbeat. And there's all this tumbleweed. I'm like, what the? So, and I said to Lorraine, we got to the house, and I said, "Have we got enough money to go back home?" I don't see me staying here. And anyway, we did stay there, and it was different. But before we left, Lorraine's mother said to me, she said, Alan, you're not going to meet people like you over there. She said, I've been there many times and they don't like you, you know. And I went, oh, there's got to be somebody over there, you know. So I was a little bit nervous about it. I'm thinking, geez, all religious over there or what? They'll go to church, you know. And she said, yeah, they do. I said, "Oh." So anyway, we was over there for about, I don't know, 6 months and we met, bumped in, well, got to know alcoholics and drug addicts and we just had a hell of a time, you know. And we was a very novel pair to go around town. Oh, the English people are here, yeah, have some coke, have a drink, blah, 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 you know, like stuff. And so, yeah, we had a good time over there. But that's, I think, when my alcoholic behavior started to brew and come on. And I think about 86, maybe 90, I was a paper hanger at the time. And guy offered me this job down in Nashville. He said, I've got a big contract. He said, you want it, you can have it if you want it. So doing apartments. So I went down there and I got to know all the framers, the carpenters, concrete guys, all alcoholics, all drug addicts. And we just had, you know, just got to know each other. And my drinking just took off big time. And Lorraine at the time, she was practicing her alcoholism at the time. And was you? I think you was, weren't you? Yeah. She, she stayed up in Oklahoma City. She was a barber, and she was in with a crowd of girls that drank and did all that good stuff. And so she was doing her alcoholic thing, and I was doing my alcoholic thing. And we was making a ton of money, and a lot of it was going in the bars, and a lot of it was going up on over too. So, but it was one of those deals where, again, my consequences didn't correlate with what I was doing. It was just full blown. And where was I? I was in Oklahoma. I was in Nashville. So in the end, Lorraine moved down to Nashville, and she started working with me. You know, by that time, I started a painting company, and I got in all these houses and stuff. And she thought she was the entertainment committee, so she would come on job site with coffee and donuts for the guys. You know, hey guys, got some donuts. Have a little break. You know, drink some coffee. And I'm paying these people. And in the end, I sent Lorraine home. I said, you know, go to the house. You're fired. So that's been a running laugh with us about firing your wife from the job and stuff. So anyway, again, I was just drinking my life away, and did not want to didn't even think about quitting. And like I say, I knew something monumental would happen to me for me to be here or to even get sober. So I was down in Ballard in 2004, I guess. I started drinking with a bunch of guys down in, I can't remember the pub now. But I was down there every Friday. I'd finish work and I'd sit down there on Fridays. But this particular Friday, I got in there at 3 o'clock. Oh, it's the old Peculiar. I used to drink in there. And I got in there at 3 o'clock and I left there about 1:30. I was one-eyed in the van, and I ended up going down 65th to another Monty McGuire's. I had a drink in there, and should have been going north to Linwood, but I was running into town. And don't ask me, I got no idea what street I was on. And I was going down, and I think it was like a two lane street. And I was overtaking this bus, this like the stretch bus, and we're both going together like that, and the two lanes started going into one, and I just got ahead of him and tried to push him over, but he kept going. I hope there's no bus drivers in it. So in the end, our vehicle started scratching each other, and all these windows blew out on the side, and all my windows blew out, and we both stopped before, and he looked at me and cussing me out, and I looked at him cussing him out, and I took off. And I thought, I can get away from this guy. So I took off, and I was going down the road, and I'd done a quick right into a little side street, turned my lights off, ducked down, and all of a sudden this bus come around, and he's looking, and he saw me, and he parked up, and within about, I don't know, 5-6 minutes, that place lit up like a Christmas tree. There was cops, there was ambulances, there was transport people there. Oh, it was a wreck. So I got busted for a DUI, hit and run, no insurance, lane changing, property damage, and that was about it, I think. And that's enough, right? So they took me off to the local jail down there, and I thought I was going to get locked up in a drunk tank all night long for a couple of days. But the guy liked me a lot, this trooper, and I was talking to him. He said, well, "What's your wife going to say to you?" I said, she's been in AA for like 15 years. I said, she's going to have my ass. And he went, oh, so he kind of knew about that deal. And anyway, my daughter came down and picked me up and took me home. And so, that's the story of my getting into AA. And but the funny thing was, I that was on a Saturday morning, and I woke up Saturday afternoon, and we'd already arranged prior to all this going down to go down. Was it Tacoma, wasn't it? I was going to go down with my wife to this conference, AA conference, where our sponsor was down there. So anyway, we go down there, and we're walking in the conference looking for her, and we found her, and she said, "What's wrong with Alan? He doesn't look very well today." And she says, "Oh, he got a DUI last night." She turns to us, "Praise Jesus, praise Jesus." I'm going, "Praise Jesus now." So, but she was a hoot. So, they encouraged me to, stay sober to some degree over time. And anyway, we did that Saturday night. I went back Saturday and woke up Sunday morning, and Lorraine had some girls over to go through the book with them. When I went on the deck, on my back deck, it was a beautiful July morning. Sun was out, nice. And I sat there and I just contemplated. First time I ever did it. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I looked down on my deck, and everything was crystal clear. I could see everything. And I just asked it to God. I said, "God," "take that desire away from me to drink." And I said it wholeheartedly, truthfully. And, he came down, he just snatched that desire in my head. And he struck me sober after about 40 odd years of drinking. When I came out of that process, I didn't want to drink. I don't even know how I drank for that long. I had no idea. And to this day, I think about it, but I haven't had it. I ain't done it. Anyway, it goes into, I called my buddy up. He was a realtor. In fact, he was our realtor. He was looking for a house for us at the time. And he was in the program. And I said, Larry, can you take me to a meeting? And he kind of giggled and laughed. He says, oh, about time. I said, yeah. So he comes over and we talk. He said, well, I'll take you to a meeting on Monday. I said, all right. So I go to a meeting and, here I am. I've done all the meetings. I got a sponsor, went through the book. I've had sponsees. I don't have any sponsees at the moment, but I had sponsees where I took them through the book. In fact, I had a couple of sponsees for several years, and they got well. They done good and moved on. So getting back to where Lorraine was, I put that woman through hell and my kids. And the problem is, I talked to Lorraine a lot about my behaviour and stuff. She said this afternoon, she said, I think you should let me stand up there today and tell your story, because you don't remember shit, she said. So I don't know if you want to take so, huh? How are we doing the time? 8 minutes. So, no, we talk about my behaviour of how, with the kids and herself and how mean I was. And I didn't realise I was such a mean drunk at the house and abusive. I wasn't a good guy at all. And I really got to work on that. I haven't worked on it since I've been sober, to be honest with you. I've done several 4th steps or 5th steps, but I've never worked on that meanness that I had with the wife and the kids. My kids remind me sometimes of my behaviour and stuff, but my son, he came in the program, and I don't know what year was that? 6? Oh no, 02, yeah. Jamie came in at 2002. My daughter came in about 06, wasn't it? Something like that. Yeah. So the behaviour and just the culture in our house, brought the kids around. I mean, they could see how Lorraine had this great life, clean, innocent, honest life. And they was in trouble with their booze, and there was outside issues going on as well. So I think it was good for them, and they came into AA and got sober and did all the good stuff. But my son left. He found out he was an alcoholic, so he graduated, and my daughter came back. So she's got like 2 years now, I think. So it's a good thing. So there's a lot of other stuff in that story, but I'm really just working on it right now, putting it all in perspective. And but that's the best I can do for you guys tonight. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Alan.